Hello, my name's Nigel Colson. I'm a capacity development advisor working for UNDP, mainly focusing on health programs. I'd like to provide you just with a short introduction to conducting a capacity development assessment and planning process. The first step really is to agree the scope. So a fairly traditional plan would look at, say, the functional capacities, which could be program management, financial management, monitoring, procurement if relevant. But there's no reason why you can't use a capacity development plan for a wide range of different purposes. Could be for a project, or it could look at legal and policy issues, or a combination of all of those. Once the scope's fixed, you then can look at developing a matrix. There's already a number of planning matrices available, and certainly UNDP can help to provide one. And the matrix simply looks at what is the current status and what are the priority activities to address those, obviously together with a budget and indicators. The actual process itself ideally would be as participatory as possible, so involving people who were specialists in each of the areas that were selected, and ideally would be held either in a workshop situation, or alternatively you could do it in a series of structured meetings. The centerpiece really of the whole process is to getting people into working groups as soon as possible once the scene's been set, and for each working group to then look at, again, as I mentioned before, is the current situation, what are the gaps, what are the areas that need enhancing, and then what activities would address that. So once the groups are formed, that's how they would work, using somebody to sort of record the process, ideally onto the matrix live as people went through it, so that people could check on the information. Then once the assessment process has been finished, you could actually then bring the different working groups back together to compare and present what each group had come up with, to see if there's any gaps, any commonalities, any good ideas that could be used across the different groups. Then the final step is to sit the groups to go back together again and actually come up with prioritised activities. Quite easy thing to say, there is always a tendency for it to be a longer list than intended, so the prioritisation process is important. The timeline for the plan also needs to be considered at this point. So is it linked to a grant cycle? Is it a 5-year cycle, maybe linked to a political process, etc.? Once you've done that initial work, then bring the people back together with their draft assessment and draft activities in front of them, and ask them again to present it back to the rest of the groups. That allows for discussion and any final edits to be made, and then the work can be handed over to a working group to produce a final draft, which obviously can come back for further revision. Implementation's important, clearly, and quick wins is always a good idea to try and identify some, together with looking at existing activities that are already underway and ones that can perhaps be carried out without any budget at all. I hope this is helpful. There's lots of more information available from UNDP and other partners, so please feel free to reach out in whichever areas are of interest to you. Thank you very much.